Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Major Gifts webinar. My name is Sharon Krinsky-Davis, and I am the Regional Gift Advisor based in Chicago for the Great Plains, the Midwest, and Colorado. I have been with Best Friends for about 3.5 years.
And I'm Christina Pham-Linhoff, and I'm a Regional Gift Advisor with Best Friends, and I have the pleasure of working in Maryland and have been doing major gifts about 10 years, and it's a ton of fun. I hope you enjoy this webinar. We want to make it interesting for you. Take it away, Sharon.
So you're looking at a slide that says major gifts are, and I can see all of you going, what is a major gift and how do I do that? So to simplify, major gifts the amount of a major gift really depends on the size of your organization. So just look at it as large donations coming in from people that are already in your network. So when we talk about how do we raise major gifts and what are major gifts and what do we need major gifts for, major gifts really is what sustains your organization for the long term. We look at, okay, so who do we go to for a major gift? So you sit there and you're thinking, okay, well, we already have this wonderful spreadsheet or a database, depending on where you are in your organization and the growth of your organization. And you look at all of the people that come in every day, all of your volunteers, you have donors, you have people that are involved with your organization. And this is exactly where you start. Some of you are going to be in different places. Some of you will be using spreadsheets. Some of you will be using databases, but all of you have in common people walking in your door every day, helping you with the animals, helping raise money, whether it's through events or mailings or things like that. So when you're looking at where do you start, you look at the people around you. We like to call that low-hanging fruit. And you think, okay, I have a relationship with these people, I can ask them for money, right? And so the best part about raising money for an organization like ours in animal welfare is, as you know, everyone loves their animals. And so you're raising money to advance and sustain the mission of your organization. So you can think that 80% of the revenue comes from 20% of your donors. And so basically what that means is exactly what it says, 80-20. It's not an exact science, but it is definitely a good benchmark to go with. The best way to start is, what is a major gift? So you have to define your organization regards as a major gift. It could be $1,000, $5,000, $10,000, $100,000. Again, it depends on the size of your organization. Most organizations would start out, smaller organizations would probably be in the $1,000, $5,000, or $10,000 range. As we become more sophisticated and we grow our organization, then you can look at realistically raising larger dollars. Now, it also depends on what you're raising money for. If you're raising money for a project, like you need a new playground for the dogs, or you need a fence, or you need training facility, then you go, it's more of a capital, it's more raising capital money, and that way you can ask for larger amounts of money as a project that people could really sink their teeth in. What we like to do here at Best Friends is we like to try to raise as much unrestricted dollars as we can so that we can use the money for where Best Friends feels the need is the greatest. And I think that that's a great way to go. I think that's a great way to start thinking about raising money, is to raise money for the mission of your organization.
So when you think about major gifts, it can seem a little intimidating because you have a few donors making large gifts. So where do you find these people that are willing to write big checks? And a lot of times people think, oh, well, I should go to Bill Gates, or I should go to, this huge foundation that I've heard of on the other side of the country. And I would urge you to just think about who you know already. Who do you know who's already been giving you something, even if it's a small gift? It could be $25 every month, it could be $25 a year. But think of who you know that maybe is a volunteer for you. Maybe they're transporting animals, and you happen to know that they live in a really nice part of town. They've known you for years. They keep writing you small checks. And maybe you've heard that they support another organization. Maybe they've given $100,000 or $1 million to another organization. That would be the kind of person that you would want to start thinking about. So, really, when you think about major gifts, don't let the big numbers intimidate you. Just think about a few people who you know, maybe 5 to 10 people who might have the capacity, the financial capacity, to make a larger gift than what they're doing now. And then think about, what are they doing now? How do they like to be involved? Are they volunteering? Are they just writing checks? Do they come to, if you have an event, do you see them at your events? Who do they know in your organization? Maybe there's other staff people in your sphere who are close to this person that could be sort of an intermediary or introduce you in a natural way so that you can develop a relationship. So really, as Sharon mentioned, this is all about relationships. You really want to just have a relationship with someone who knows you. Maybe they don't know you that well, but you think that if you get to know them and they know you better, they might be likely to write a larger check and help with the mission of your organization. So really working as a team, thinking about, who do you know as volunteers, as donors, who else on your staff might know of other people who are already in your orbit. So kind of just put on those, I have kids, so we talk about, listening, the 2 ears, and we have 2 ears for a reason and 1 mouth, and there's a reason we have twice the amount of listening capacity. So really trying to just listen for clues about who is in your orbit already that might be able to make a more significant contribution in a financial way. So once you have these people in mind, then you want to start planning. And the reason that it's important to do a little bit of planning, and this doesn't have to be extensive, but just start thinking about every month, how could you sort of touch this person? Maybe it's a phone call, maybe it's sending a card, maybe it's inviting them to do something special, maybe it's having lunch or coffee, or maybe it's going over and meeting their dog that they adopted from you 5 years ago and you haven't seen them since. So just start thinking about, okay, this person, Jane Smith, we know her from XYZ. I think she might be interested in XYZ, and just come up with a plan. Because it's easy to get started and it's hard to continue, I would urge you to put on your own calendar a monthly touch so that you remember every month, I'm going to be in touch with Jane Smith and just say, hey, how's your dog doing? I heard that you came to the event last week. I'm sorry I missed you. Would you like to grab coffee? Trying to make it natural, but trying to build on something that is already happening sort of in your orbit with people that you know. Sharon, is there anything else that you can think of that I've skipped in these slides?
The only thing that I would add is, when you're building a relationship with people, it's so important that you get to know them as a person. That you're not only interested in talking to them about the amazing work that your organization is doing, but also who they are as a person, what their interests are.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a really good lead in to this next step, this next slide. There are lots of good questions to ask people. And again, it's the listening, it's getting to know them as people. Really, they're involved with your organization because they share a common passion, a common interest. So get in touch with that. I love to start by thanking people, because so often in our world, we are so busy and our supporters are so busy. they almost never really have someone sit across from them or call them up on the phone and just say, thank you, thank you, thank you. I just want you to know what an impact you've had on so many dogs and cats or whatever your organization is helping. So really thanking people, and then usually in a phone call, it could be in a coffee or, whatever venue you're in, understanding what it is that moves them. Why are they supporters of your organization? And practice in a way that you find language that you're comfortable using. So I like to say, like, for example, there's somebody who's been giving $25 a year for 10 years. All of a sudden, he made a $10,000 gift. So I'm so lucky I get to call people like that and say, thank you. And I can say, so that is amazing. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And what inspired you to make such a significant gift? And then you ask someone that, and you find out all sorts of information about where they're at in their life, how they see their giving, how they see your organization, that this is going to be maybe the first of many gifts, or maybe this was a once in a lifetime gift. You learn all sorts of information that's helpful to you in terms of if they want to continue being a major donor or not. I love handwritten cards. So few people receive. I mean, we all know we get so much junk mail, and we get so many solicitations in the mail. How many handwritten cards have you received in the last month? If you're like me, 0. So to get something handwritten to you personally from your favorite organization really makes an impact. So take 5 minutes and handwrite something. Lunch with key people or other special invitations, those are also great. I think that's it, Sharon. And now you're going to talk about some of the lessons.
If I could just add, if we could just go back for a second, the only thing I would add Christina was, incredibly thorough and is so good at stewardship of her donors, is also what you have is a rescue. You have a place, many of you have a place that people can come and visit. And it's an awesome experience to invite people to come, if they haven't been to the rescue or the shelter, to come take a tour. You can volunteer with them. If you have both cats and kittens and dogs and puppies, maybe you can do a volunteer project with them. Invite them to come and actually see, if they haven't, the workings of the shelter or the rescue. And just to add on the handwritten card, I would try to also find out, and we do this all the time at Best Friends, is send birthday cards. I had breakfast with a donor the other day, and she was so touched that we sent her a birthday card. And you can get them made cheaply if you don't have them. Put a cute animal on the front of it, and you can always print out, so-and-so wishes you a happy birthday, and just write, again, the handwritten card. And just those tiny little touches that take 2 minutes really are impactful. And also having people actually come to the shelter or the rescue if they have not been there, to volunteer or tour or hang out. So that's just what I would add.
Great. Thank you, Sharon.
Okay, so lessons that we have learned through the years, and as both of us, both Christine and I, in this business and our colleagues. So the most important thing that we can tell you, because everybody wants to be successful and we want you to be successful. And so when you start setting your goals, everybody wants to have this pie in the sky. But initially, it's really important to set realistic goals. And you get to your realistic goals by planning. That Christina said in the previous slide, is to make a plan. And it's important. Now, it is always a moving part. It's always it's fluid. So your plan can be changed, but basically to have a plan and an outline for you to follow. and you work your plan just like you do on your everyday. You come in, this is the things that need to be done today. You do the same thing with building your donor base. And it's always, in the world of fundraising, it is always a we. It's never an I. We can't do anything without working with our colleagues. We can't raise any money without our colleagues in animal care, right? So at Best Friends, we always say that the most important people in our organization are our animal caretakers. Whether it be at the sanctuary, at the shelter, at the rescues, those people that come in every single day are the heroes of our organization. And so we as a team work together to accomplish our goals. And again, we cannot emphasize enough about the relationship. And I realize that it's redundant and we've probably said it 20 times so far, but even those of us who have been in the field for many, 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 many years always focus on the relationship that we have with people and getting to know them as people, their likes, their dislikes, and not just as someone who is financially capable of helping us. You build the relationship just like you do with your personal relationship with your friends, with your family. That's exactly how you build your relationships with your prospective donors and your donors. In the world today and always and forever, you work with honesty and integrity. You do what you say you're going to do when you say you're going to do it. And that will take you far. Patience is not a virtue of many of us. You've got a million things going, running your rescues and your shelters, but patience is key. Making or speaking to someone about major gifts or donating any amount of money there's no time limit. It can sometimes take one visit, two visits, and sometimes, depending on the size of the gift, it can take a year or two. I have had many circumstances that I have worked with potential donors for a couple of years to get them fully invested and really learn about what they're interested in. For whatever reason, depending again on the size of the gift, then you have to have patience because you don't want to rush it. And if you ask too soon for a gift, then you'll probably get a gift, but it may not be as large of a gift as possible. And I can hear you thinking now saying, oh, how will I know when they're ready? And so you'll know when they're ready by listening to what they're saying. It goes back to your listening skills and communicating and asking questions. But when they're ready to make a gift, you'll know. You will know. I've been doing this for decades, and you never think, and I'm always learning, to always honing my listening skills because it's amazing what you'll learn. And sometimes you'll just turn and look at them and ask them because they've let you know that they're ready. So you always have to be ready just in case. To expand a little bit further is a lot of individual money is held in non-cash assets. So what does that mean? So a lot of people invest in the stock market. A lot of people create family foundations, donor advised funds, insurance, IRAs. So people can give gifts through these mediums. So to receive a DAF or a stock gift or anything other than check or cash, There's all these different avenues and means of accepting money. And so it would be good, like if you have a treasurer of your board, that person would be an ideal person to help navigate those waters as to the best way tax-wise, what is most beneficial for the donor, as to say helping them save with capital gains, directing them on different ways of giving charitable gifts. And that may be a little, just something to think about. And people will ask you, and to have some of that set up maybe with a financial person on your board or your treasurer could very, very helpful in helping the donor decide in what way they want to give you money.
One of the words that I heard us use earlier that always used to mystify me was steward or stewardship. And basically that just means thanking people. So we wanted to share this donor cycle because it helps us remember what we're doing. It's sort of the big picture of what we're doing. So let's imagine somebody made a gift maybe a few months ago, and we've sent out our regular thank you card. And so they hopefully got that in a timely fashion, because a lot of research shows that thanking people quickly and especially with a phone call makes a huge difference. But let's say that you want to start a major gift program and you're sort of wondering where to jump in. I would encourage you to start with the thanking, with the stewardship piece, because it's a feel good. It's a feel good for you, and it's a feel good for the person who's receiving the thanks. And it's really what we should be doing, because these are the people that are making our work possible. So it's really the right thing to do to be thanking. So again, we talked about, phone calls, letters, handwritten notes, all those things. Just thank those people that especially seem to be potential major gift prospects. And that will help you move to the next phase, which is identify. So you want to identify the people that not only have the capacity financially to make a gift. So we talk about two things, capacity and inclination. So they have the capacity to do whatever your definition of a major gift is. Say it's $10,000 at your organization. Say they have the capacity to do a $10,000 gift. And the other important thing is they actually have the inclination. They actually want to do that. They actually want to talk to you. They'll pick up the phone when you call. They would like to meet you for coffee. So between the list of who has the capacity and the list of who's going to make a major gift, the big defining feature is really who wants to engage, who wants to participate, who's got that inclination. So that inclination and the capacity, those are really the most important things when you're identifying someone. Do they have the inclination and do they have the capacity? So you've thanked, you've found the right person, and then you work on building the relationship. And as Sharon mentioned, inviting them to come and visit your facility, or taking a dog for a walk, or visiting them at their house. There's lots of ways in our field with animal welfare that we can be hands-on and develop an authentic relationship with people. Because honestly, I feel so lucky to work with these donors and this cause, because this gives so much meaning to our supporters. For them to be involved with helping animals, for many people, it gives them a sense of purpose and joy and meaning in their lives. And so that's really what you want to try to connect with as you build your relationship, is how you, obviously, if you're in this in this webinar, in this business, you love animals too, and they do. So there's a natural place for you to build a strong relationship. Once you've got the relationship and you've found out what people are really motivated by and excited about, the asking sort of comes naturally. We want it to be about the donor always. We always say, make it about the donor, not about your organization. But what would make the donor really happy? What would they be so proud to be associated with? Would it be dogs or cats? Or maybe some people see spaying and neutering as really ending the problem of pet homelessness. So they are really motivated to help with spaying and neutering. So really understanding the donor and finding an ask, finding a solicitation that's the right fit.
We always want to leave with next steps. Okay, I like to call it next steps or takeaways. So again, we will focus on listening, and I can't emphasize enough the importance of listening to what people are saying to you, and it will help you tremendously as you navigate the world of fundraising and major gifts. And also being flexible. You know, sometimes we have in our mind that, okay, I'm going to ask this person for this amount of money and I'm going to ask on this particular day and I'm going to get an answer that day. Okay, so in the world of fundraising, that would be an amazing occurrence. It's also a fantasy. So people don't operate on our schedule. And I think that's probably one of the hardest things to learn when you enter fundraising or major gift fundraising is you have to, I guess you have to teach yourself the patience and to be flexible. And I can't stress that enough, that the donor needs to be ready to write a check, to make a gift on their timeline, not on your timeline. And it's a lesson that we are constantly talking about and teaching each other is, but I want to get it now. I want to get it in for this year's numbers. I want to get it in before we close the books. Well, yeah, I'm sure that's true. And we do too, but it doesn't always work that way. And that is a huge thing to remember, to be flexible and patient. And, you know, I'm combining the two of those. I myself am an incredibly impatient person, but I have learned through years and years and years of doing this kind of work that it doesn't bode well for you to push. And I promise you that if you work your plan and you build your relationships, then the money will come.